It would be humiliating to lose to a candidate whose trustworthiness is doubted by 60% of registered voters. That's nearly 2/3. Statistically, Clinton is trusted by just one of the John Mayer trio, which is insane because, by definition, two of the John Mayer trio, to some extent, trust John Mayer. Now, the other option is Trump resets, comes from behind and wins. And I would argue that's even worse for him, because then he actually has to run the country, and that means living in government housing, conversing with fully clothed women, and travelling in a plane that doesn't even have his name on it. Just this week, he tried to seem more presidential by apologising and distributing disaster relief, and he looked miserable. And that's pretty much all that being president is. And that is why I'd actually like to address the rest of this segment directly to Donald Trump. And I know that you're watching, Donald, because you watch everything that's said about you. I'm pretty sure you sleep in a tanning bed made out of TVs playing cable news talking about you. That is an actual photo taken in an actual nightmare. It seems that you have two really bad options here. If you keep going, you're going to spend the next 11 weeks ramping up hatred in speeches, injecting poison into the American bloodstream that will take generations to remove, and denying the country the contest of ideas that a presidential campaign should actually be. And after that, you're either going to win or you're going to lose. And I think both those scenarios end pretty badly for you. Which is why, Mr. Trump, Donnie, Doniel, I would like to propose to you a third option, and that is drop out. Simply drop out and tell America this entire candidacy was a stunt, a satire designed to expose the flaws in the system. And the thing is, you could actually make a fairly decent case for that. Because although your campaign was the political equivalent of a bigoted clown's blazing funeral pyre, you have accidentally made upwards of 4 good points during this campaign. Last year, when your opponents criticised you for donating to Democrats, you said this.
Before 2 months ago, I was a businessman. I give to everybody. When they call, I give. And you know what? When I need something from them, 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me. And that's a broken system.
You're right. Any system that requires phone calls to and from you is completely shattered. You are like the chaplain at Disney jail. If I'm talking to you at all, something has gone horribly wrong. But it is powerful hearing a candidate expose our campaign finance system so completely, just as it was powerful to watch you expose the flaws of the media while still exploiting them.
They say that I've had $2 billion worth of free airtime.
The free airtime comes in some part because of the controversies that you've generated.
Perhaps.
Is that why you did it?
Well, I guess it might be a little bit.
I can't even blame you for that. You're essentially saying you seem to like dumpster fires. I'm basically a pile of oily trash and a match. Let's fucking dance. And that might actually be your wisest insight, since you encouraged your Twitter followers to love thine enemy. I mean, you didn't use those words exactly, of course. What you said was, every time I speak of the haters and losers, I do so with great love and affection. They cannot help the fact that they were born fucked up. But that sentiment was, in its own way, Christ-like. And you could even argue you've effectively exposed the lengths to which politicians will go to appease their party's base. Because think about it. Top Republicans refused to withdraw their support for you even after you feuded with the Gold Star parents, seemingly insinuated that gun activists could assassinate Hillary Clinton, and encouraged Russia to hack your opponent's emails. All these politicians would have stuck by you if you slapped the 6-year-old orphan of a dead veteran with a giant blunt while yelling "legalize it" and eating a bald eagle burrito. But perhaps most powerfully of all, Mr. Trump, Donathan, you didn't just expose the flaws in our political system. You exposed the flaws in us. Just think about how triumphant it would feel to say on national television, I openly ran on a platform of impossibly ignorant proposals steeped in racial bigotry, and nobody stopped me. In fact, you embraced me for it. What the fuck was that about? That would be one of the most powerful political speeches of all time.
Anything less than that, and this is on you too. And as for Trump himself, he still doesn't appeared to realise how horrifying his remarks actually were, because during his apology, he was already trying to minimise the incident.
Let's be honest. We're living in the real world. This is nothing more than a distraction from the important issues we're facing today.
OK, now, first, I am genuinely disappointed to hear him say we are living in the real world. I had secretly hoped this whole election was a horrible dream. And not even my dream, the dream of a racist teenager who fell asleep while masturbating to internet porn. But second, this is not a distraction, nor is it even a surprise. If Jimmy Carter had been caught saying that stuff, sure, we would all be shocked. But with Trump, it's entirely in character. And while there is talk of Republicans trying to get him off the ticket, that's not going to happen. Early voting has begun, so people have already voted for him. This is happening. And in a way, perhaps we've always been heading to this historic moment. The first female presidential nominee versus the human embodiment of every backwards, condescending, Mad Men-esque boys' club attitude that has ever existed, rolled into one giant, salivating, dick-sized referencing, pussy-grabbing warthog in a red power tie. And I'll put it this way. If American democracy is a computer game and Hillary is completing women's 100-year quests to get to the Oval Office, it kind of makes sense that this would be the final boss. And now, this.
And now, a look back at Billy Bush's creepy...
And he had barely put that whole mess behind him when in Pennsylvania he started up a whole new controversy.
The only way we can lose, in my opinion, I really mean this, Pennsylvania, is if cheating goes on. I really believe it. The only way they can beat it, in my opinion, and I mean this 100%, if in certain sections of the state they cheat.
OK. He means it 100%, so by the time this show airs, he'll presumably have said he was kidding, but not, but yes, but not, but maybe, but not, but yes, but not, but maybe. But what is really worth taking note of there, and is worth thinking about, is that he's suggesting the election may be stolen by his opponent. And that's actually dangerous. He is priming his supporters to question the result when he loses Pennsylvania, as polls indicate he will, and as all Republican presidential candidates have since 1988. And he's not just talking the talk here, he's asking his supporters to walk the walk.
His website now has an application that you can fill out to be a Trump Election Day observer.
Now, well, you know, in a way, we are all Trump Election Day observers. Because if you look out of your window in November and see 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, you'll know, oh shit, they just called Florida. But it does seem he actually wants people to participate. If you go to his website, which you absolutely should not, and try to sign up, you'll be asked to donate, which again, you absolutely should not do. Anyone who wants to give their money to a Manhattan narcissist whose interests begin and end with the plight of white people should keep in mind that Woody Allen's Cafe Society is getting decent reviews right now. But not great, but decent. It's one of the fine ones. We wanted to see what actually signing up involved, so we signed up without donating and received an email from the campaign saying we are going to do everything we are legally allowed to do to stop crooked Hillary from rigging this election, which is troubling because I'm not sure Donald Trump knows what he's legally allowed to do. His own attorney once had to apologise for saying you cannot rape your own spouse. And honestly, I'm surprised Trump even had an attorney. I always just presumed he got legal advice from a John Grisham paperback purchased at a white supremacist yard sale. And remember, this week was supposed to be all about his economic plan. And to be fair, he did try to get back onto a focused economic message on Friday. It's just by that point, the prompters were gone, and he was back to doing what he does best.
I love these boards. Look, here's a beauty. Here's a beauty. I love charts. I love charts. And I always said, you know, it's too tough putting a screen up. You got to get guys, costs too much money. I don't like to spend money. This is a cheap version of a screen, okay? Just as good. But you need good, strong hands. So look, you ready? So there it is.
That is just magnificent. Because just to recap, he picks up a chart and says, here's a beauty.
He then utters with a straight face the sentence, "I love charts," before unconvincingly claiming that only someone with big, strong hands can hold a chart up. And then he turns the chart back to him as he's clearly forgotten whatever the fuck is printed on it. Look, I cannot wait for this campaign to be over, but part of me is going to miss him when he's gone.
I have nothing against China. I just hate that their leaders are so much smarter than our leaders. 2016, we will not be the world leader anymore. We have been always. But in 2016, China becomes the great economic leader.
Even if Mitt Romney is elected, he says that
maybe you can turn it around.
Well, do you think he could turn it around?
I think we can.
Do you think Mitt Romney can turn it around?
I think he can.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great. #1 selling tie anywhere in the world.
#1 selling tie anywhere in the world. You wouldn't wear that shirt?
We also have them in white and beautiful white.
Where are the shirts made? Bangladesh.
Well, it's good.
Okay.
We employ people in Bangladesh.
Ties? Where are the ties
made?
Have to work These are beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? Ties are made in China.
Well, I'll tell you, and you know what, David, in all fairness, I've been very open about that, and not all of them, by the way, but I've been very open about that. Are you okay? Is the
no,
chair
I'm
was
fine.
Made in China.
Yeah, I know.
The chair was made in China.
The chair was made in China.
You buy that at Macy's, by the way.
Let's just shut down the Donald Trump factory in Beijing.
I would love to.
And we'll put up a tie factory in Jamaica, Queens.
I love it.
And we'll make the Donald Trump ties.
I'm for it.
Donald Trump, Rome burning in man form. On Thursday, he went to the RNC headquarters in Washington to meet with Paul Ryan and the Republican establishment to try and mend fences. Now, Ryan had famously declined to endorse Trump, but after the meeting, he struck a more conciliatory tone.
I was very encouraged with what I heard from Donald Trump today. I do believe that we are now planting the seeds to get ourselves unified, to bridge the gaps and differences. I was very encouraged with this meeting. His personality, I thought he was a very good personality. He's a very warm and genuine person.
Okay, stop. Because I understand the genuine part in the same way that Miller Genuine Draft is genuine. You know, it is the shitty thing that it is. But the only way Trump could be described as warm is if you're feeling leftover tanning bed heat radiating from his skin. And why is Paul Ryan being so coy about this? We all know where this is going. Trump needs the GOP's money because he's decided he is not self-funding his general election campaign, and the Republicans need to not alienate Trump's voters. So Trump and the Republican establishment are like a teenage Christian couple who've made an abstinence pledge. They are going to have sex. It is just a matter of time. But they still need to make a big show of resisting it for anyone who might be paying attention. However, the rest of the week was a little bumpier for Trump. On Friday morning, he attempted to justify not releasing his tax returns, and it did not go great.
There have been many presidents that have not shown their tax returns.
Actually, every single nominee since 1976 has released their tax
before
returns.
1976, most people didn't do it.
Yeah, sure. But there were a lot of things we did before 1976 that seem crazy now, like smoking on airplanes and thinking Elliot Gould was a major sex symbol. The point is, times have changed. But perhaps the weirdest thing involving Trump this week was the release of tapes suggesting that in the 90s he had for some reason invented a publicist for himself named John Miller and pretended to be him on the phone.
By the way, I'm sort of new here, and what is your position? Well, I'm sort of handling PR because you get so much of it. Yeah. Where did you come from? I basically worked for different firms. I worked for a couple of different firms, and I'm somebody that knows, and I think somebody that he trusts and likes.
That is so perfectly Donald Trump. Even his imaginary alter ego reflexively brags about himself. Now, on that tape, you hear John Miller saying many incredible things about Trump, including claiming that Madonna wanted to date him.
No, she called and wanted to go out with him, that I can tell you. The people that you write about really are. They call. They just call. Actresses, people that you write about just call to see if they can go out with them.
Now,
Now, much like his candidacy, that claim is sad but not implausible. Remember, there were rumours that in the 90s Madonna got together with Vanilla Ice, Jose Canseco and Willem Dafoe. And what is Donald Trump if not a mixture of the authenticity of Vanilla Ice, the likeability of Jose Canseco and the terrifying facial expressions of Willem Dafoe? But this shouldn't even have been news this week. It shouldn't have been news. Back when this happened, Trump confessed to the whole thing.
Soon after the interview, Trump admitted that he was John Miller and called it a joke gone awry.
OK, so there's no story here then, is there? All present-day Trump needed to do was quickly reconfirm that it was him.
I guess the simple question this morning, are you aware of the tape? Is it you?
No, I don't think it, I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time, and it doesn't sound like my voice at all.
Yes, it does. It's clearly you. Look, there is only one way to settle this. Tonight, I would like to extend an invitation to John Miller, publicist, to appear on this programme. Now, to be clear, this is not an invitation to Donald Trump, who has never and will never be invited here for an interview. But if John Miller wants to come sit down with us, we would love to have him. We've even set up our interview area for you, with all the things that we presume John Miller enjoys. Overcooked steaks, low-grade pornographic magazines, and a hand mirror. It's an open invitation, so please come on by, John Miller. There's literally nothing stopping you, other than the fact